Hey, it's Kieran at the beginning of the episode again, just to remind you that we are doing a live show in the Comedy Cafe Berlin on October 25th at 10 p.m. Entry is €4, but if you are a patron, DM me on Patreon and we can probably get you in for free. So yeah, if you're in Berlin, 25th of October, 10 p.m., that's a Monday night, Comedy Cafe Berlin, as a part of the podcast festival, we will be doing a live recording. We will be joined by comedian guests favorites of Josie Parkinson, Matthew, and Ian. So that should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a bit of a chaos episode. And yeah, without further ado, I think I probably should have edited out that very long period of time of you just like trying to burp in the last bonus episode.
I didn't even listen. So.
I was listening at 1.5 speed and was still like an uncomfortably long period of time.
I had hiccups. I wasn't burping.
Yeah,
it was different. It was both at the same time.
Oh, we're clarifying for the record of the bonus episode. It was like a gross hiccup. It wasn't a gross burp.
It was disgusting. It was horrible. Yeah, sorry. You're going to cut all... No, you're not. You're not going to cut any of this out because you're a fucking psychopath who doesn't know how to fucking edit a podcast.
I know how to edit.
No, you don't.
I just refuse
to.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand the principles of
You're
German.
fucking punk rock. That's the problem. I'll just lead us in then, right now then. Hey. Welcome to your weekly Corner Späti. It is your boy Nick, joined with Kieran only. This is, as we have now called it, the 3-6 Mafia Coalition.
That's right.
I don't know why, because there's not nearly enough members to be in 3-6 Mafia, but
it's fine.
You know what? So, yeah, I'm Juicy J, and Kieran is DJ Paul.
Yeah.
And we are not talking about the German elections anymore. They're over. They're done.
Yeah.
There's no coalition. We'll get back to that some other time. But that stuff is
boring. Loser shit.
Exactly. We're going to still start in Germany, though, and then we're going to branch our way out.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys who don't know, there's a lovely publication in Germany called Bild. It is the largest, it is the most circulated publication in all of Europe.
Yeah. 15 million?
Yep, which is the most depressing, daily, I think it is.
Yeah, 15 million. Yeah.
Which is one of the most depressing facts that I've come across living in Europe. And this publication is way too powerful in the country that Kieran and myself live in. But their holding company is deciding to get a little freaky with it and maybe branch out. So we're going to be kind of just addressing the fact of Bild, Axel Springer, the idea then of like kind of that media in Europe in general is kind of turning into a very hyper-conservative conglomerate that I think that we will be hesitant to compare it to an Anglo version of itself, particularly that of Murdoch stuff. I think it is much different.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fun little ride of ruining your Monday or Tuesday, whatever day of the week that you're going to be, listening to this.
One of those freaks that listens to this episode 2 weeks after it comes out.
Yeah, your November 14th when you decide to check out this episode about Axel Springer and all this shit.
So we want to start with, I guess, a smaller story, but a good illustrative piece. And we probably should talk about a journalist in Germany called Nemi El Hassan. She is born in Germany. Her parents are from Palestine by way of Lebanon.
Yep.
And naturally enough, with her background, she has taken on this mantle of like her beat was basically like anti-racism, anti-Islamophobia kind of stuff.
But don't get too crazy with it.
Yeah. So I should say reporting on racism and Islamophobia within Germany from this perspective of herself being anti-Islamophobic, anti-racist. And very interesting. She was given this relatively high spot with a show, a science journalism show called Quark.
Yeah, with ZDF.
With ZDF, with their West German It was a
VDR,
VDR.
yeah. Westdeutsche Rundfunk. So it's it's with the public broadcaster in Germany within specifically
It's like
NRW. So North Rhine-Westphalia and a few other states that then fall under the WD. Was it WRD?
WDR.
WDR.
West Germany. Yeah.
Westdeutsche Rundfunk. That then isn't like Bremen and like Bayern and whatnot. You know?
Yeah. Like it's more West Germany, like actually geographically rather than like geopolitically.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I find very fun when I go on like little hotel ventures. I love hotel TV. If it's like, ooh, what's happening? Seriously, I'll arrive at a hotel and I'll just watch like footage of like a woman hang up washing on the national broadcaster. I'm like, this is a TV show.
This is the thing though, is that everyone in Germany knows that like the best ones for broadcasting are Bayerischer Rundfunk.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Okay, you said that with confidence.
I actually enjoy Bayerischer Rundfunk. They actually have some good, like, oh god, I sound so fucking German right now. They have some pretty good Reportagen for the national broadcaster or the state broadcaster. RBB is not bad. The Berlin one, the Berlin Brandenburg one.
Okay, yeah.
But the thing at the end of the day is that, like, I think to put this into context is that these are all TV stations that like midday you can turn on and they just have like cute animals on the TV.
Yeah. Like TV, I feel like a lot of TV in this country has kind of acknowledged it's maybe for older people.
Yeah.
And they've just kind of like.
What's the show called? Hund, Katze, Maus, I think is one of it, and it's just like. Yeah, that's great.
Sure.
But BR has a show called Dahorm ist Dahorm, which is the Bavarian. It's like a Bavarian soap opera in Bavarian.
Okay.
If you want to learn Bavarian, you should watch Dahorm ist Dahorm.
Okay.
Dahorm ist Dahorm.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about like the cowardice of these networks, I guess, to a certain extent. So naturally enough, with Nemi El Hassan, being anti-Islamophobic in Germany leads to some very kind of predictable attacks against her for the reason that, like a lot of people who get into the politics of anti-Islamophobia, she is pro-Palestinian. And, you know, she's of a Palestinian background, so it's not surprising.
You know, the self-hating Palestinians, I hate that stereotype.
I'm sure there's like one. There's got to be one, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. In Germany, there has to be.
Yeah, you have to integrate, I guess.
But, yeah, I think, like, I mean, at the end of the day, for her, like, this comes down very simply into the fact that then it is, like, Germany's anti-racism is skin deep.
Oh, God.
Not even. Like,
not
that's
even.
Yeah.
No, you ever learned about surface tension with water in, like, your science class in secondary school? Yeah, exactly. It's like that shit. So, like, I guess you could go back and listen to our episode where we talked about Adorno and the anti-Deutsch. But I think it's pretty obvious because or you can also go back to listen to the episode we did with on like the recent pro-Palestinian protests that happened in Germany. But if you've been with us for a while, it's pretty obvious that like dealing with Palestinian issues in Germany is a fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. It is probably the worst European country to.
Oh, definitely.
If not the worst country outside of Israel to deal with this question.
For sure. So it's a situation where basically what comes down to this journalist and a lot of others, anything that's considered pro-Palestinian in this country will just be labeled uncritically by large majorities of the press as outright anti-Semitic. I think we talked about this when we did like May Day discussions and the discussions of like the Palestinian rights stuff that happens within Europe this summer, I guess, just gone.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We talked about how like things that are basically just like normal rallying calls, normal messages, normal graphics and images in Germany just automatically get blanket as the term anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I think even too in the sense of, you know, before going into this specific, case of it, that we, when we were talking with Flo about it, actually, if I'm not mistaken, of that how Germany reported the sense of the recent, Israeli-Palestinian conflict, whatever you want to call about it, that they ignored all the sense of Israel initiating it.
Oh yeah.
And then right when then it begins in the sense of even ignoring the airstrikes that Israel was doing. And then when it began to the sense of that then, well, Hamas sent rockets, then that became the catalyst for then justifying Israel's aggression, even though Israel was being aggressive weeks beforehand. And I'm sorry, I don't care at that point. I'm not gonna I don't want to fucking sugarcoat it. I understand at the end of the day when Hamas, after weeks of being harassed by Israel, first off, I understand why someone fucking just joins Hamas after years of being oppressed by a colonial power or a proto-colonial power, whatever the fuck you want to call it, an extension of the U.S. arm, if you want to be more realistic.
Yeah.
But after a few weeks of being harassed militarily, that then you got a few rockets around, lob them. I don't care. I really at the end of the day, this isn't a thing about then. It really bugs me in the sense of the day, like how Germany at the end of the day just is so bad about reporting the news when it comes to this, not even just this one issue in general, but this is the one that they're the worst about, that they had a media blackout for the entire time of all the violence against Palestinians that was happening.
Yeah.
And then this story similarly reminds me to another one, which we'll get to later. But this country is the worst about it, because I saw that then literally every other country was reporting about this except for Germany. And when it came to the sense that then that Hamas was lobbing rockets, then Germany was like, oh well, Hamas started it. It's they fucking didn't start it, all right? I feel that then I'm going in the past now too far, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not anyone's. It's really not anyone's position, especially this far removed from it, to moralize these decisions, but rather just like I said, we understand why someone in these situations would join something like Hamas, even if you're Hamas is an unsanitary figure or whatever, blah blah blah. It's just yeah, but come on, it's not your position to moralize. You have to just understand what's happening.
I mean, we all wish that we could join Hezbollah. That's not the problem. Wrong country. I get it, King, but
so you get into this thing of where it's very obvious to understand from 20th century history of why the average German is not afraid to tackle this, but we've gotten into this position now in modern Germany where this has been weaponized by the right, much like what's happening in the United States, where the position on Israel and Palestine is becoming more partisan than it was historically, where people with reportedly even moderately left wing are kind of starting to realize that maybe Israel isn't super cool or super chill. A similar kind of thing is happening in Germany, although just probably a bit later, a bit slower.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been weaponized into you can't really say anything about Palestine. We recently got into this thing of just the BDS campaign is now officially labeled anti-Semitic in this country.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is that's a fucking big one. And it's gotten into an incredibly, as we talked about when we had Yoni on to talk about the anti-Deutsch, a huge part of all these discussions do not include Jewish people at all. Definitely don't include Muslims. It's still
obvious. Yeah.
It's still Europe post 9/11. Of course they don't. And then it will even go against the recommendation of Jewish organizations in this country. I think Jewish organizations in this country have stated the labeling of BDS as anti-Semitic is too far, and it's you shouldn't be doing that because the real anti-Semitism does exist in this country. Yeah. It's not coming from BDS supporters. It's coming from the Halle shooting and things like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So this is. This energy is completely misdirected.
Yeah, but all that aside, the sense of the matter is that there is a so this journalist Nimi El Hassan was removed from her job because of what Germany perceives then in this case as anti-Semitism.
Yes,
and because of that, we have distinguished that the German definition of anti-Semitism is
fairly out of whack compared to the international standard.
Yeah, it is anything that then presumes that the lives of Palestinians is maybe worth something. You know? It has a little bit longer of a story though than I knew beforehand until I read the article about it. of that. Then it all starts because of her, like she went to the Al-Quds March.
Yeah,
in
in 2014, during which a war in Gaza was happening, which is what motivated her to go. Yeah. So you understand the character of the Al-Quds March in Berlin more than I do, I think.
Oh yeah. This is actually like around about a year after I moved here, and this was a big deal, specifically the 2014 one, because it was the largest Israeli offensive since the second Intifada.
I think so, yeah.
And there was a massive amount of protest. The just general like call about like, you know, maybe doing something about it from people internally within Europe. This is remember, this is prior to the refugee crisis, in quotes, that Europe had.
Yeah, sure.
And you just had this thing of that I remember, like, that it was just German media, like, on this onslaught of just, like, being really racist.
Oh, yeah.
At this time of, like, look at these, like, inferior Turks and Arabs, you know, they're doing the same politics that Hitler was doing, calling for the death of Jews. And to be very fair, okay, there is a lot of, like, I think the thing that we have to, like, really break down is that then within a lot of the discourse of, you know, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict within Germany, there is a lot of legitimate anti-Semitism from people, regardless of whatever their background is. There's people who are technically pro-Palestine, who are like white German Berliner, who are simply like in it because they just don't like Jews, but they're not like actively within groups and stuff like that.
See, this is something that like I feel like any pro-Palestinian left-wing person in this country also needs to, we talked about this before, needs to actually grapple with, is that like the huge part of the like Zionist movement within Germany and outside of it will always be able to find the examples.
Yeah, exactly.
And then use that and claim that it is a part of the wider picture. I feel like anyone listening from another part of the world who's like looked into any of these kind of struggles themselves is probably also familiar with it. But I think the point that we were getting to earlier is that there is literally people like Jan Fleischhauer who will just like see a picture of like a Palestinian flag and just go, that's anti-Semitism.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, there are people who are putting in more effort and genuinely finding examples of
so this is like, so at this time in 2014, it was like kind of like this like precursor of where we are now, of that then this politic worked really well in Germany, of the sense of that then you would have like your, you know, reportage about then a protest that happened. They would connect it somehow to then politics that was similar to Nazism, and boom, there at the end of the day, Germany's like, you know, support of Israel is backed up by, you know, the fact that these are just bad apples protesting, even though there is maybe a legitimate concern behind it, this and that and that. And the thing that then's really interesting about the Al-Quds March in general is that the people who are most vocally against it are leftists in Germany, particularly anti-Deutsch.
Oh, sure,
Anti-Deutsch actually have on their housing blocks, or housings, their squats, like, no to Al-Quds March and stuff like that. They'll have, like, the Israeli flag, like plastered on it and whatnot. And that's been happening more and more of recent. I remember that then Rob and I were on a 1st of May demonstration, and we ended up going past like a few of these anti-Deutsch blocks, and we just like looked at each other and we're like, dude, like, no, like, this is bad. So the thing of then the Al-Quds March, which then came in 2014 after this, after, you know, this offensive, or this, you know, this, you know, campaign that Israel did against Palestine, kind of fueled itself into the sense of that you have then this kind of big, it's not a beginning, it's always existed here, but this sense of like an identification of something that then can easily become something that can like point out people who are like not within the German realms of like civil society, is by going to them this thing that then is automatically deemed as anti-Semitic. And it's been getting more and more and more traction as of late, which is this Al-Quds March thing.
Yeah. And I think the traction is coming from something that we've talked about before in the podcast of just like, we definitely do need to do another episode, like an update episode on the Anti-Deutsch, because one, they're just like a whole big thing that also requires like more than one episode,
multiple installations in order to describe what they do.
But also like things have changed, I think, since this occasion, but even since our last episode, we talked about them of just like this reactionary moment they had in with May 1st here in the city, with the like more recent like 2020 offensive against Gaza. They've like had really mask off moments, so we need to do a whole other episode on that. But and similarly, the pushback, the point of getting to the pushback that we're now seeing is that there are strands, there are wings, there are like flanks, whatever you want to call it, of leftism in Germany that is taking a harder stance on this, of like being anti-Zionist, being pro-Palestinian. I'm namely thinking of like Migrantifa in Berlin, who like ran, who were very heavily involved in like May 1st this year, as well as the CSD, the like Pride March here in Berlin, and had very clear like, we are anti-colonialismus. So that means like a kind of anti-Zionist stance, which is super interesting. It definitely feels like a reaction to these other movements becoming more popular and taking hold in Germany. So naturally they get a bit more like cagey, like an attacked bear or something.
Yeah. So I think we've laid the groundwork. Germany has a very bad relationship to anti-Semitism.
Yep.
This journalist was fired because she liked a post.
Yeah. So the if I remember the timeline correctly, this picture of her in 2014. This is all happening this year, by the way. Sorry, like this whole the scandal around her happens this year. But she was at the Al-Quds March in 2014. Then VDR or WDR is like, oh, we're not sure what's going on, and then a bunch of stories come out of her having liked some posts on Instagram that, by these more insane standards, are deemed anti-Semitic. I think the genuine anti-Semitism...
The posts were from Jewish Voices for Peace.
Yes, this is the insanity of it. I think the place where they're like, oh, like we're able to find genuine anti-Semitism was the Al-Quds March. They were able to find people in the march who were like, that person's doing something.
People like with Hezbollah flags march at that march. Like, to be very fair, it's very easy to find who you want to find at that.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing she was doing, she was just there, and that was viewed as bad. And then these posts are just fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Like the liking of these posts are not. They were just like Jewish Voice for Peace. Some of them were associated with BDS, which, like we said, has now been just blanket deemed anti-Semitic.
Yeah, exactly. After the fact, mind you, of this.
After this, yeah. But and this was like, first of all, this was also like dug up by this one guy who was like a character that I just had to look up. He's Irfan Pessi. Who's like kind of like Turkish background himself, but he's a known anti-Muslim activist who calls himself the Islamist hunter, yeah. But auf Deutsch, so it's like Islamisten Jäger. He's got a YouTube channel with like 7,000.
Oh God, he took the Inglorious Bastards thing and made it not cool.
Oh, like his whole channel is like, I don't know how any sane person could actually look at his YouTube channel and go, not immediately be like, I'm on a dark part of the internet, I shouldn't be here. See if I want to show Nick for visual. So there's his Twitter account. He's like with this like terrorism NGO thing as well, called ITCT.
I feel that like anyone who's associated with like counterterrorism measures is a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, there's one thing.
It's like this. So there's two that I have. All right. Anyone who's obsessed with terrorism or counterterrorism. Anyone who's obsessed with politics for the children.
Oh yeah.
Those are two.
But I want to stress there's like two different levels. There's like I work in counterterrorism and I work for like some sort of military intelligence, like 3-letter association, like 3-letter like department of the U.S. government. That's one thing. Counterterrorism NGO is like that's a weirder vibe. And then having your own YouTube channel called Islamicisten Jäger with like
Islamicist Jäger. What the fuck?
With this fucking logo. I'm sorry.
Is it a cross going through a hammer and sickle that's in the shape of also the Islam,
the crescent moon and star
of Islam?
Yep. This man's like very unhinged.
The role of
Sorry,
Islam
he's not Turkish. He's Bosnian. That's why he's talking about you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The role of Islam during the Yugoslav Civil War. Okay. Salafist.
That's
crazy time makes El Hassan a victim. Okay. Yeah. Well, she kind of is, but all right. So I did not know about this.
Yeah.
I mean, I read it in the article and I did not bother going and searching more. Thank you, Kieran, for being the better journalist than I am.
I did Google his name, and why this is the guy who like finds the footage of her in, of this Al Quds March in 2014 in the year 2021. And like he's just like a whole kind of unhinged character by the looks of things. He's able to make himself look respectable, but at other times not.
He just looks like a really sketchy Twitch streamer in like the sketchiest way possible.
He looks very like 2014 YouTuber, like Sargon of Akkad kind of shit. Yeah. But he's the start of this, and then he's the one who finds this footage and then sends it to, drumroll, Bild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we're getting to what our main topic was supposed to be, but I think we got a little bit sidetracked, but all right.
No, it's all building up to this, I think.
Building up to Bild.
Building up to Bild. Yeah, actually, that's one thing I want to talk about, just very brief aside, is like most other German publications, when you directly translate their name, there's probably a publication called that in English. Like Der Spiegel, The Mirror, things like that. That exists. There's no publication called The Image.
The Picture, yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's Image Magazine, but that's like a glossy kind of like celebrity gossip thing.
I mean,
sure. It's just that always just weirded me out. And yeah, like again, going back to the whole point of just like Germany's willing to ignore like Jewish voices in this thing, because even after all this stuff happens, this like big open letter by a bunch of people, including a lot of prominent Jewish figures within Germany, poets, dancers, musicians, people with names to attach to a letter, but like no, don't let her don't have her lose her job.
Yeah, Bild went fucking buck wild.
Yeah, and
went on a massive smear campaign of literally only a few days. And she lost her job immediately.
Yeah, now that the likes came out, she has lost her host position at this Quark show for WDR, and it's just like now consistently, I think, will now forever be known as like a target for weird weird right-wing YouTubers in this fucking this country.
Yeah. Now I think that this is like kind of the perfect point to like look at Bild of what they are as than a publication, because how is it that then like a publication that then took the heads up from a psychopathic right-wing YouTuber and then ended up making it into into
multi-day story
into the fact that then someone losing their job who is not even like they're a television presenter on CDF.
Yeah, she's like there's other things with this campaign, like she did like denounce her time at the Al Quds March. Like she was like, I don't like the Al Quds March anymore, kind of thing.
She's like our age though.
Yeah. She's like 28 now. She was.
So 2014, she was like what, 22?
Yeah. That's I've done dumb stuff. But like the other I think the grosser thing, and this gets more to like Bild, is that they only showed old pictures of her while wearing a headscarf, which she no longer does.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing of that then, I think that we need to then, we're going to start branching off from then Germany into Europe at this point. This is the point of the presentation, where I'm going to just explain everything to you. of that. Then, for those who do not know, Bild is the most powerful publication in Germany, just historically.
Yes.
There is, at least post-war Germany, there has not been a publication that literally has their ear to the ground specifically for CDU politics, because they are an establishment paper, and that then literally has had policy passed and had history changed because of this fucking publication. And for those who do not know, Bid is how you would like it. It looks like the Sun in the UK.
It's quite comparable to the Sun because, as we said very at the beginning of the show, this has the highest circulation of any publication in Europe. The Sun is then the second highest. And it is your kind of like red block, white letter kind of publication.
The headlines are really racist a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're like they're also like on a good day eye catching. Yeah.
Every time I read a Bid headline, I always have to read it in a like the dumbest voice I have to read in my brain that exists. And it is but while the sense of comparing it to like the tabloid-esque nature of the Sun, which is true, Bid has an incredibly strong like political foundation, in which is that it is a CDU paper. It is 100% tied to the party mechanisms of the CDU, whether they want to admit it or not. And the head of the paper, Julian Reichelt, is an absolute coked out maniac who will low key just like throw out conspiracy theories left and right, to the point of that he kind of like was a Corona like denier at one point. And you have the sense of that then during Easter in Germany, that Bild made it their sole purpose to make sure that Merkel's policy towards locking down during Easter did not happen. And for those of you who do remember, if you live in Germany, Bild won that fucking argument very quickly. Merkel 180'd as fast as she possibly could and was like, I'm not going to actually lock down. So that's just one example. I can think of the first example of when I moved here during the financial crisis, of seeing really racist
like depictions of Roy Sudlanders or something.
Yeah, exactly. Depictions of Greeks, something they don't want to pay debt back. Bild also is very much economically similar to the AFD in a lot of senses, but they'll talk about the how Germany won't spend for people in retirement. They are I don't think you can't really compare them to anything, because they are a party paper that then is the ultra right wing of a party that already then exists.
So I think there's comparisons you can make, but they'll always be insufficient.
Exactly.
They'll only get you half the way. So I think we should, as Nick was saying, it's like the strongest paper. It's basically been around as long as like modern Germany has been around. It's like founded in 1952. With CIA money as far as...
they're vehemently anti-communist from the get-go.
Yeah. So
Axel Springer was, like, as you told me earlier, was very proudly getting that CIA money.
So, okay, no, Axel Springer wasn't proud. I think Axel still denies that. So let's lay out the actual story here as we go. So the historical record shows that when this paper was founded by Axel Springer, and their holding company is still like Axel Springer SE, which we can get into what SE stands for, because I find that very interesting. Axel Springer was broke when he found it. He did not have the money for it. And that has been like this kind of like historical question of like, where did this coming from? And then in quite recently, 2010s, late 2010s, these two retired CIA guys gave an interview in The Nation magazine that basically said they were like, yeah, we just gave $7 million dollars to Axel Springer,
and then they wrote an article in the Washington Post that I did not give $7 million, 7 million euro, or 7 million whatever Deutschmark.
So like whatever Deutschmark equivalent in $7 million at the time, which
is 14 million Deutschmark. Probably.
It also would have been a lot of money back then too. 7 million gets you a long way in 1952, and I'm trying to get the exact thing here. I think it's on the Axel Springer page. And this was an exchange for something that makes Bild quite unique as well. both kind of like globally, but also within the German concept. This was for a pro-US foreign policy positions, which has been like consistent throughout their history. They were like very for Germany joining the Iraq War, Vietnam, Afghanistan, everything.
Yeah, so for those, like, I think in the sense of Germany too, in order to like really harken back to the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
They're the paper that then, like, Axel Springer, particularly Bild, was the one who was like blamed for Rudi Dutschke's murder.
Yeah,
because they were the ones who then were vehemently anti-communist.
Springer shot first, kind of.
Exactly.
That phrase from.
Exactly. So this isn't anything like, I mean, you're mentioning obviously the CIA money stuff of that. Then this paper has been on the far right for the longest time, to the fact that then, like, now, while the person who shot Rudi Dutschke, as Rob may allude to, may be a CIA asset, the thing is, at the end of the day, that this paper had a lot to do with then, like, the political backing of them, that they deemed anyone who wasn't, like, they even fucking hated the SPD at that point too.
Yeah.
Of anyone who's for the right of the CDU, for the left of the CDU, for this paper is a communist, which is a very American way of looking at the world. And I'm imagining in the 60s and 70s it was probably even worse than it is today. And yeah, so there's a lot of blood on this paper's hands, to say the least.
It's very interesting in like a wider European context, because like not only was it like anti-communist, which a lot of forces in Europe that were getting like CIA money or CIA oversight or whatever were anti-communist. A lot of those other forces in Europe and other countries, like the Netherlands and Italy and Spain and France, were kind of allowed a degree of just like, it was almost like anti-communism with French characteristics, or anti-communism with Spanish characteristics. A lot of like Bild is just literally just like, this is what Washington wants us to do. Like no one, I don't think anyone in none of the like weird kind of Gladio stuff that happened in Spain, for example, was contingent on, Spain has to join Vietnam.
Yeah.
It was just like, kill the communists in your own country. But Bild was just like, we need to join Vietnam. Like, it's a very kind of
luckily
next
Germany
level.
didn't, but still.
Yeah. And then I think the next aspect which you're talking about is, and why like comparisons maybe to, I think The Sun is a closer comparison, but the one you hear a lot, especially now that they have a TV channel, is Bild is like Fox.
Yeah.
And why this doesn't work is something you're getting to, which is that they are like very strictly a CDU paper.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you can look at Bild and go like, this is like hella racist. This doesn't align with my the rosy vision I have of Merkel from being outside of Germany. Is like, well, yeah, but that's because there's this whole other section, the CDU, that we haven't like talked about in a while.
I mean, we try to touch on them occasionally.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we do, like a lot of the other press.
No, of course, yeah. I thought you meant like us as a show. But we made very clear that the sense of the last election was that the CDU is like trying to find their bearings, and that bearing may be further right-wing politics.
And again, further right-wing in the sense of like, these gals were always here. We're just like letting them loose now.
Yeah. But so yeah, Bild has always been kind of this like lifeblood of not even just like German conservatism, but just like German just insanity within their conservatism.
Yeah.
Because not that I like respect conservatism in any way, but I feel that you can like do the conservatism thing and not be a piece of shit like entirely. You can like still do the thing of like what the FDP does of like, I love capitalism, but like,
that's what like Merkel was kind of doing.
Yeah, exactly. To the sense of that you make then this type of like neoliberal politic palatable to people. I understand that. I don't necessarily fully respect it, but it's at least something that then I can get how people then like get into it. I can get why they're like Europhiles who like Merkel. Mm-hmm. Even though she like last week was in Slovenia. This week was in Slovenia being like Viktor Orban's plan for bringing in the Western Balkan countries because of migration makes perfect sense. Yeah. Our queen does not actually like believe the shit that comes out of her mouth half the time. Yeah. But
Bild has also been like kind of anti-Merkel, but like anti-Merkel in such a way that they were never anti-CDU.
Anti-CDU, exactly. And I think that then, like, exactly to my point, is that like while Merkel like exhibited this sense of a conservatism that then was palatable and was Eurocentric and was progressive to a degree, Bild was always at the end of the day the kind of boots on the ground version of boots to the ground's the wrong word. Ear to the ground version of the CDU that then accepts that then Germany listens to us. We're a conservative country, and the sense of the matter is that then Merkel can go do her like progressive stuff, but at the end of the day, the CDU is still going to then have these values at their core, which are more reminiscent of something like an Orban version of Europe or a Sebastian Kurz or a Kyriakos Mitsotakis version of Europe. Just saying, he may be the future of Europe. I don't know,
but it's like
it is a far right wing vision of Europe that. The only difference is that Orban is the only one of those three who is Eurosceptic, and it is only Eurosceptic in the sense to like his own like means to an end.
Yeah, and I think this is where like the comparison falls apart with like particularly Fox News, because Fox News exists to drive the American people, the American conversation, the wielders of power, or whatever, further to the right. American politics is lined in such a way that will probably always be the Republican Party. Unless something new comes along, but like they're willing to attack the Republican Party for that end. If like if they feel like something in the Republican Party is in their way, they will attack it for that means. Bild won't do that.
No,
Bild doesn't exist to push Germany further and further right. They are amplifying a far right tendency within Germany that has kind of always been there, and kind of like maybe seeks to contain and control and wield that popular mass.
And they're really good at their job.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think the thing that then has to be, while Fox News falls under, given Bild has done, like, as I mentioned with the Easter thing, as that they got politics, a policy more or less changed in their favor to open up for Easter. At the end of the day, their ties into the CDU are so good that they actually do good journalism. With leaking stuff.
Sure.
And like most leaks that then come out internally within the CDU get leaked to Bild first, probably for,
what's that thing called? A limited hangout or whatever. Like we leak this so that we don't have to leak something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so stuff like that always happens. Bild has the largest array of journalists, I think, all throughout Germany, if I'm not mistaken, if not probably throughout Europe for this
Their daily
country.
paper with a huge circulation. It wouldn't be surprising.
They have video journalists everywhere.
Yeah. They have this like streaming platform now thing as well.
They have the streaming platform. They have the TV channel. And it isn't so much the fact that then like the discussion of fake news, which I don't necessarily believe in, because like those who know how news works just knows that that's like a part of making propaganda. But like Bild is really interesting because the thing I think is really interesting, which I'm interested in currently right now, is the sense of where we are at with the vaccination rate.
Oh yeah.
Of that then the current vaccination rate for Germany is around 60%. The Robert Koch Institute came out saying that because of a poll that they took, it's not a miscalculation, it is literally a poll of 1,000 people that they have, surveyed. 80% of these 1,000 people said that they have been vaccinated, so on, so forth. And now German media is reporting on this by saying that this is actually that we are at 80%, not at 64% or whatever it is. And the thing that I'm waiting for now is Bild, the paper who has been the most pro open up now, Danke Mutti, sarcastic Danke Mutti, dürfen wir wieder draußen gehen. This paper, you're going to see, by the time this episode comes out on Monday,
sure,
there will be an entire campaign because of this polling that then was done from Bild to take news that is not fake. It is a poll, and to manipulate it into the sense of changing policy. And that is the thing that they're the best at doing. As they don't have to like make anything up, like, you know, like,
No.
the sense of like they wanted to call for a re-election in Berlin and they just didn't get enough steam for it because they like the CDU is not that popular in Berlin.
Yeah.
You know, but if it was on a national level, I don't know. You know, like they legitimately can kind of like flop their dick around doing these like kind of Trump-esque sort of things that would be seen in other countries, but they have enough backing and enough of the like facts kind of ish behind them that they can get away with it to a certain point, which I think differs them a lot from American conservative media, because American conservative media goes very much in the sense of like just pure on conspiratorial bullshit.
Yeah, it's kind of a... So one thing that I think is actually kind of illustrative of this, and this gets into like the...
I was right on the fucking money.
Yeah, we're at a for anyone who wants the exact numbers, Germany is at 65.1% fully vaccinated, 68.4 with full or one dose, or halfway there basically. So we haven't even reached 70. I think 75 is like the ideal number or something like that for...
It's 80 for herd immunity.
Okay. But more is good. It's your basic.
The bigger the number, the better it is. Baby.
Yeah, and but one thing that I thought was quite illustrative, if we're ready to like take this discussion into like
shift it into the next gear.
Yeah, which is Axel Springer as the parent company of Bild is expanding, and actually, the first thing that I want to talk about actually is what that SE stands for, which I find very interesting. It stands for a thing that's only existed since like 2012, a Societas Europea, or if you wanted an ecclesiastical Latin, Societas Europea. Which is like European society. This is like a basic version of your like PLC GmbH that is allowed to exist
beyond the borders of the country that it exists, and it can exist in all of Europe.
In all of Europe, yeah. So the European community, so that's EU plus Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Iceland.
Any country that then signed like an agreement with Europe, pretty much.
Yeah. And like this is like basically only exists for like the super big companies, the Euro Stocks 50 companies, basically, which is kind of like your
the Dow Jones.
Yeah, like the Dow Jones in the States, but for like European companies, Airbus, Allianz, LVMH, of course.
Of course. Yeah, we got to have our man doing money.
Yeah, we gotta have our man hiring weird Italo-French ex-Ford Legion.
Squalini, or the fuck his last name was.
Squalini, fucking the shark. So yeah, that's what SE stands for, and that kind of leads us into this next thing, which is they are expanding outside of Germany.
Oh, and are they?
Oh, they are. And they're already quite within Germany, like beyond Bild, they have like these bigger things like Die Welt, which kind of like...
Yeah. So they have, let's read through all the German ones.
A lot of these are like hobbyist magazines that are like spin-offs of Bild.
So
Auto Bild, Sport
so they
Bild.
have Welt, they have Berliner Zeitung, but the BZ Berliner Zeitung, so for those who don't know, it's the one with the red font, not the blue font.
Yep.
They have Musikexpress, funnily enough.
German edition of Rolling Stone.
They have Transfermarkt, which is the football statistics website. Business Insider,
which is a spin-off of Business Insider for social media-based lifestyle publication.
Update.
So, Update.
I don't know what the fuck Update is.
A news aggregator app that does not have its own Wikipedia page.
And the last one, which is the most merkwürdig, as the Germans would say, like raise question to, which is Political Europe.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, this is where we've been getting a lot of our dumb articles from.
I've been I'm a little piggy. I'm a cute little piggy. I'm just hanging around in my slosh, in my slop. So and Political Europe is that slop for me.
Yeah. That's like one of two kind of like big international publications. I'll get to the one later. But Politico Europe is one that we find particularly fascinating. Rob finds quite fascinating as well, as like this. It's technically meant to be like a Brussels bubble paper. It exists to much in the same way Politico started in the US as this thing that covered Washington, like pretty much like Washington DC.
But how do you make it lamer? Is that you have it cover Brussels?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, like the fucking inferiority complex that Brussels feels towards Washington DC is palpable. Like even from here in Berlin, and but you know it's a lot of the same things. It's like very procedural politics, a lot of lobbying shit, but
a lot of op-eds about like why you just don't understand what's going on in Hungary because you're not Hungarian, and actually Orban's not that bad.
Yeah. Like some of the corner Späti gallery of rogues come from Politico. Yeah. Some of the like funny reading series we've done have done there, and it's possibly now going to become a bit more unhinged. Or
I like wonder sometimes, is that possible? When I saw this buyout like a month ago, I was like, you can't make this paper more ridiculous.
It's super interesting.
They don't have to try. They just have to just own it.
It's super interesting because like Politico in the US, I think, is like very clearly like a neocon paper.
Yeah.
It's like almost a relic of like Bush era bullshit of like the early days of like journalism going on.
They can just like really just like easily just like reposition themselves as just like a generic neo-lib paper, and they would be fine.
I mean, I think they kind of already have like. But then the other thing is like, I guess the other. If it doesn't become unhinged, I personally think that Politico's line will probably not change, or will change so subtly it'll be hard to notice. The thing that I think is going to happen is now they just have like a fuck ton more resources, because you said Bild just has like video journalists everywhere in this country in particular.
Yeah, every single scandal that pretty much is leaked in Germany, particularly with the CDU. I have a theory about this, by the way. That then, because Bild is very much is very much aware that they are not taken seriously, that they can leak these really big scandals and just like they just get ignored because everyone's like, it's just a tabloid, whatever, and people don't realize that it's like the most interconnected, journalistic network in this country, more so than like the public broadcasting service.
Yeah, which is very interesting. So like I do think that will kind of like beef it up a bit, maybe. The other thing that I think is quite a good example of like how Bild operates, especially like politically in the space it takes, is the first thing they did when they expanded outside of Germany's borders, or like the thing that they've at least held on to, is they own the most successful tabloid in Poland.
Oh no, the Germans going immediately to Poland?
Yeah, right. Classic move.
You hate to see it.
But they own a paper called Fakt, F-A-K-T. Probably not pronouncing that correctly, but whatever. And the thing that's very interesting is while it's also right-wing, while it's also a voice of conservatism, while it kind of like operates a similar media space as Bild, they are low-key anti-PIS. Because they're a civic platform, a PO shill paper, like the party of Donald Tusk.
Oh my God, at least if you're going to shill a political party, have it be the largest one in your country.
But this is what, I think this illustrates the whole, like, this is not a publication or a media apparatus that seeks to push everything right wing, but rather to like work to the ends of this, because PO, civic platform, is the like CDU sister party of Poland.
They're part of the EPP.
They're part of the EPP. Which,
wait, isn't PIS also part of the EPP?
No, they're ECR.
Oh.
They're that like respectable right wing thing that the Tories started in like 2000.
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah. I always thought they were part of the EPP.
No, yeah, that's why.
Oh, that's Fidesz that was part of it. That then they got like asked to leave, like from Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Here we are now. Nick, learning about Europe because I don't give a shit about it.
But like, if Springer was more like Fox, this paper would 100% be like a PIS paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have one of Europe's goodest boys is from Civic Platform.
Tusk.
Donald Tusk, baby.
Donald Tusk, yeah.
There is a sense too that then is like I find really boring about Bild, Axel Springer, all this is that then just like how establishment they are. Like at least like tread the waters a bit of the countries that you're like buying into. Like, get a little freaky with it. You know, you don't have to. You don't have to always be the EPP paper for like every country.
Yeah, no. Apparently they do. They got like, apparently it's been a controversy in like in Poland itself because people notice like the popularity of Fact in Poland does not match 1-to-1 with like the voter base of Civic Platform. There are people who are reading Fact and still vote for PIS. So
because they know that the right party is PIS.
It's the party that's going to win. Sure,
it's like all right, like legit. If I like picked up Bild Germany,
yeah,
I would just vote AfD. Like if I like seriously believed it, I would just like I would double down and be like, yeah, migrants are bad. I want like Germany to go back to the Deutschmark, and Merkel's wrong. I
feel like
what it do AfD,
but Bill, like I think as we've talked about this before the show, that like AfD represents the positions of like the CDU maybe a couple of years ago, or like of a wing that was always there but not as powerful within
it's the things that the CDU whisper to themselves that then are like actually like as policy, like, or the FDP sometimes too.
Yeah, so like Bild kind of exists to speak to those voters and maybe just like come back to the CDU. Like
the CDU needs to know they have to go full Mitsotakis, get more racist, and they'll win.
And
I do not suggest for then anyone to do this type of politic. It's very bad.
Oh god, no, it's terrible. Do you have any like final remarks on Bild before I go into like my favorite stupid controversy about them?
Not really. Of the fact that then it's just kind of the sense of that anyone who tells you to ignore Bild, don't trust them, and anyone who's overexcited about Bild, also don't trust them. This is a paper that you have to just kind of like realize.
You have to admit it's a force within.
It's a force within Europe. In Europe actually, not just Germany. Yeah. Kind of, if you want to pay attention to European news, they have other publications that then are not in German. It's kind of like just good to have it at the back of your head that they keep their finger on the pulse of Germany for what was now the most powerful party in the most powerful economy in Europe. And I think I just have to like, as much as I hate this publication, as much as I hate, their bullshit and the fact that this paper is the most racist thing that then is just in daily news that then just pretends that they just don't like anti-Semitism is one of the most bizarre things to me. Forgot to mention that bad boy, how we come up, full circle. Bild's entire crusade is being, the fight against anti-Semitism, while then producing some of those racist headlines you'll see in all of Europe.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So it's all smoke and mirrors so that then Germans can like feel good about themselves in that sense for the anti-Semitism thing. But at the end of the day, Bild's a racist, far right wing paper that then is the norm of what the CDU probably is going to end up being, or probably should end up being if they want to.
Yeah, and it's a classic form of German anti-Semitism, or like defense against anti-Semitism that involves Jewish people, involves actively ignoring Jewish people.
I'm sorry. You know what? I don't know that you hated that you yourself was a goy because you didn't appreciate that Julian Reichelt is just like an ally of the Jews. And also a massive cokehead. I'm trying to connect these two things, but I can't.
So, do we want to...
Wait.
What?
Oh my god. Speaking of Julian Reichelt being a cokehead.
Sure.
Have you seen this thing about this like Vietnamese guy in Austria who invited Julian Reichelt and Sebastian Kurz to a coke party?
I did not see this.
And it is entirely documented.
Oh, great.
His last name is Ho.
Sick.
I believe he's Vietnamese or Korean. He's like a club promoter.
Sure.
And invited both Julian Reichelt and Sebastian Kurz to a party that they both ended up going to. They were notorious coke parties in Austria. Yeah.
It snows in Vienna, baby.
I have heard from people who happen to work with Julian Reichelt that he just does coke on his desk at work.
Yeah.
And just like thinks he's a fucking rock star. He's a piece of shit. I hate Julian Reichelt. He's not gonna what are you gonna fucking do, homie? You probably don't even speak English that well. You're gonna file a fucking lawsuit against me, you big pussy. Like
Probably.
yeah. So I cannot describe to you how much I fucking hate this piece of shit, because his whole thing is that he's like, I'm not an anti-Semite, but I'm really racist. By the way, I do a lot of coke and I end up in really anti-Semitic conspiracy theories very quickly, but I'm not going to be able to like separate the two. So fuck Julian Reichelt. That's just obviously the corner Späti thing. And if Julian Reichelt, you want to fucking file a lawsuit against me, like, what are you going to do? Fucking throw coke in my face? Like, I'm impervious to that shit, you pussy.
That would be a fun lawsuit. Just like
I would lose. I have no tolerance for cocaine.
Oh, you just think that's like the actual legal thing that can happen, just like in the court of law?
Me dead.
Just like you can just throw cocaine.
Yeah, he's gonna do like
now commence the classic German cocaine fight.
Yeah, the pocket sand thing, but it's actually pocket coke. Yeah. I could just coke on his table, which is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Is this documented?
Yes.
Like, okay, cool.
I'm not gonna give any names or whatever, but I know for a fact that Julian Reich has just coke in his office.
If this is written somewhere, we can link it in the show notes.
No, it's not written anywhere. It's just simply word of mouth, and I trust people. So
right. Okay. Do you want to hear the dumbest little conspiracy about Bild then?
Did we already talk about this?
No, this is another one.
All right, go.
The Berlin offices of Bild have like a very old system of elevator in their building that's 19 stories tall, and they refuse to get rid of it, even though it's like a massive safety violation.
Oh, you want to know another Julian Reichelt thing that's also really old about Germany?
Okay, what?
There's multiple sexual allegations against Julian Reichelt that have just been like brushed under the table.
Interesting.
Yeah. To the point that then he was supposed to step down last year and just didn't. It was actually very public of that Julian Reichelt just harasses all the women in his office.
Yeah.
And then they just like acknowledged it and then didn't do anything about it, and he's still the head of the paper. So anyone, who wants to, like I said, if you do not if you have the coke tolerance to get the pocket coke in your face from Julian Reichelt that he will use as a defense tactic, go for it.
All right.
But so what is this thing with the sorry, you mentioned old scandals, and sex scandals seem like old scandals. Coke and sex scandals seem like old fashioned. I
have a far dumber conspiracy, or not a conspiracy, scandal, which is just the Berlin.
They're the elevators you just like step into, and they just like go up, and you just have to like step out of them.
So here's a little gif of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are like horrifyingly unsafe.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, this is a paternoster lift, which is just like they're constantly rotating. There's just like little.
Are they called Our Father lift?
Paternoster.
Kies intelligente.
Yeah, I can see where you're getting that. Yeah. No, it's from the Our Father, from the Lord's Prayer in Latin, I guess, because you have to say that when you go into one of these things.
Exactly. I just recited the first few lines for it to you now in Latin.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
Kieran, he's the bad Catholic.
I am. I'm sorry. And so these things are just like very dangerous, and they won't get rid of them in the Berlin office of Bild. For anyone who doesn't know, it's just like a bunch of boxes on a rotator belt, like a conveyor belt.
It looks really fun, actually. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Okay, this going for 19 stories.
Sick.
Okay, we found the one good thing.
Again, I hop in. In nome del Padre et Filii Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster qui es in celis sanctificetur nomen tuum. Okay, I'll stop.
Oh my God. All right. So,
what is the conspiracy about these elevators?
No, it's conspiracy. It's just they need to get rid of it because it's a massive like health code violation.
No, these are everywhere in Germany. There's no. Neues Deutschland has these too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're not meant to be there.
Well, they're there.
Oh well.
You ever been to the Neues Deutschland building?
No.
Yeah, they're there. They just haven't turned off.
Oh.
Unless you want to like if you're like cool, then they'll turn them on for you.
Okay, well you just don't know. Okay, this is the thing. I think Bill just has that, and that's their main elevator.
My scandals were way cooler.
No, they are. This is the dumb scandal.
Oh, that's not a scandal. That's just German poor engineering.
Yeah.
My scandals of a fact of a sex pest who does too much cocaine, which I myself can't prove. I may end up in a libel lawsuit. I don't care.
Yeah.
the solidarity of the working class will hold me up against Julian Reichelt's multi-million-dollar lawyers. What's he gonna do? Deny it? It's well documented.
Oh, the sex pest stuff is. I know that much. Anyway,
the coke stuff's also very well documented.
all right, we'll link it in the show notes. We have to legally.
Yeah. But the thing I also forgot to mention too about Axel Springer is that they're really good friends with Angela Merkel.
Oh yeah.
I forget who the heads of the paper are currently right now. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's late. And the thing that's also kind of tying this all back to the end of it is to the beginning of it is that like Axel Springer has like made their goal to be the most Zionist paper in Europe, and they've just said this explicitly in multiple occasions.
Julian Reichelt is the head of Bild.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the head of Springer.
No, he's not the head of Axel Springer. No, of course not.
Dufner.
Yeah. The head of Axel Springer has said on multiple occasions that he wants Axel Springer to be the most Zionist paper in Europe.
Sure.
And this was actually, tying back to someone getting fired, was what got, what's her name, from MTV fired when she mentioned this fact.
Oh, God. I've forgotten her name, but yeah, that was during the Gaza stuff that happened.
She expressed an opinion that was pro-Palestinian. She said that this man and that Axel Springer has pledged themselves of being a Zionist paper, and by Zionist I mean that there are actual things of him saying that he wants to be a pro-Israel Zionist paper. It is not in the sense that there's like a Jewish cabal controlling Europe.
No.
It is strictly in the sense that he meant this in a political Zionist sense.
Yeah. And
she quoted that, left the link for it, and she was fired for anti-Semitism from MTV. And we talked about that months ago on this show. And it's shit how we end up full circle back to the anti-Semitism thing with this ultra right-wing paper that then is in Europe with an ultra right-wing holding company that then is becoming, more powerful. And I don't know where this kind of goes from here, because the fact they bought Politico legitimizes them in a lot of senses, because Politico is just like a name that you read. Yeah. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever. And we've seen from the amount of dumb op-eds that we've read from Politico how right-wing they kind of like already are. But there's been like kind of like an internal conflict of like how right-wing they can go.
I guess the thing will be like how many people will continue or will look at Politico Europe and just still think of it as an American publication. Like how many people will just like forget that this deal happened. Because I don't think they're...
but I think that's the entire point.
That is the entire point, yeah, because they're not going to change the branding.
No, of course not.
It's like the most valuable asset of Politico.
I think they're just going to give like Karnichkin just like his own like, more of an op that he already has. Yeah. Like they're gonna give and what's his name? Andrew Karnichkin, the Austrian Phoenician.
The Austrian Phoenician, Phoenician is from Phoenix.
Yeah. Fucking pussy. No. I will fight you, and I will win because I have, again, like I said, the power of the Arizona working class behind me. You don't. All right, you're a fake Arizonan. I'm calling it out. I will fight you, and I'll win.
You're a fake Austrian too.
You're a fake Austrian too. You're not even really Austrian.
You're not a real person. You're not from anywhere.
You're not from anywhere. You're just a blob. I'll fight you. I'll win. Whatever, pussy. I think he'll just like you're right. He'll just get an Ava. He'll
just like with his Axel Springer. He'll get into one of these fucking Our Father lips into the Ava.
Yeah. I'm also better Catholic than you. How much of the Padre Nostro do you know, homie? At the end of the day, yes, that's right. We have a Patreon. Subscribe so that you can give me money for the corner Späti Ava, so I can fight. Andrew Karnichkin, this other Ava.
What will €500 get us per €500 per month? What will that get us in terms of like earth-shattering,
I don't know.
giant robot technology?
What's like Demolition Derby but for Avas?
We'll get one of the house robots from Robot Wars.
We can just like buy like a Saab.
We'll get like Sir Kill-A-Lot. You can't get inside it.
Yeah, all right. We're gonna like buy like 2 Saabs and then just like make them into a mech suit.
No, we'll get this guy. He's like 3 foot tall. But I think he can do some damage.
Okay, cool. I like my idea though of just like taking 2 sobs and turning them into a death machine.
You might be able
that
to
then I
swing
control
that
with my movements.
That's down to you, the folks
I'm
at
also
home.
like not as much of a bitch as Shinji is, so like that's at least a plus.
You're not fighting Shinji. Getting confused. Look, it's me versus Politico. Great impacts happening.
Yeah. I feel it would just turn me into like the Fox Sports robot, which for those who don't know, please look it up. I'd be sick. I would dance a lot.
Bill doesn't have a robot.
Bill doesn't have a robot. I would like spike a football. I'd throw really fast.
All right. The ending of this episode is getting away from us.
It's fine. Yeah. German media is controlling all of Europe and it's bad.
Certainly starting to, at the very least.
Yeah. Subscribe to the Patreon so that you can get me my mech suit made out of 2 sobs.
Look, we'll make it happen. You might be at home thinking that's not enough material to make a giant mech suit. We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Sobs can be kind of roomy.
We'll take the chassis. We'll make it real thin so it stretches further.
Yeah, if you're wondering, I will become the Fox Sports robot for all the Americans listening.
Yeah, made of sobs.
Made of sobs.
Oh my god. All right. And with that, we have a Patreon like we mentioned. We do Twitch streams sometimes. We're still figuring out the schedule for now that we have a new space to like record from. So sorry we haven't Twitch streamed in a bit. But more importantly, on October 25th, we are doing a live show in the Comedy Cafe Berlin at 10 p.m., which is a Monday night, but we're going to get weird with it. We're going to get real weird with it. So
buy me beers so that I can get even weirder with it.
Yeah, we can do more libel.
There's no libel in this show. I said nothing but the truth.
Okay, and
again, like I said, Julian Reichelt would not come at me with a lawyer.
Sure,
I have the power of the corner Späti proletariat behind me, which is like 30 people.
Yeah, let's go. And if 30 people are in Berlin, it will be October 25th.
It will be warriors, but like me, my gang, or the video, which is actually the same thing, of Beat It.
Oh, yeah. That's the music video version of Warriors, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But yes, anyway, we're doing a live show October 25th. Come on down. If you're a patron, message us on Patreon, and we can probably get you in for free. If not, it's €4, so you can probably do that. And with that, we will see you on the bonus. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.